Hello and welcome to another MVL video. Uh, Today, Spirit has been giving me information explaining basically who you are. Spirit wants you to see with more clarity who you are and why things have kind of panned out the way they have in the past, so that you understand the dynamics that are at play more clearly. And the energy that they're giving me is, it's an energy of a wrecking ball. You know, we know the song, right? They want you to understand that they see how pure your intent is in terms of your interactions with other people. But those other people often can't see that. Many can, others can't. They're just incapable of seeing the purity. So sometimes your purity can come across, and your kindness can come across as naivety or foolishness, or they can see you sometimes only in a certain light, but they don't realise there's so much more to you than what your current behaviours are showing them, because they're only used to looking at things from a certain angle or a certain perspective, or they think that once they've looked at a person and summed them up or put a label on them, that's who they are and always will be. But in fact, you are what I've always described Geminis to be, even you may not be Gemini, it's not about Gemini, but multifaceted. When you walk into a space, whether it's a boardroom, a workplace, someone's home, a room, a big, large gathering of any kind, or a relationship or friendship or whatever it is, you come in with this pure intent, is what Spirit keeps saying to me. They want you to understand that your energy is such, and this is the explanation of the wrecking ball energy, is such that wherever you're placed or bring yourself to be, because you're often led by the circumstances that the divine puts before you. Some of you will understand that, others won't. If I explain every single thing that I'm saying, this will be a 5-hour video. So I just have to trust that those who are watching understand what I'm saying. When you come into, whether it's someone's life or people's lives or a workspace or shared space or whatever it is, by its very nature, and this is nothing to do with what you consciously do or say or how you consciously behave or act. This is, we're talking about the actual essence, the nature of the essence of your soul and the effects that it has on those that you surround yourself with or interact with. Your innate energetic imprint is such that your intent within yourself is to always grow and learn and heal as much as you can within yourself, and change and you know, forge forward, gently forge forward. To always improve yourself. That means, for example, one aspect of that is that you are always willing to take accountability for anything you've done or said that may have contributed to a situation panning out the way that it has. That's just one example. So that's how you are within yourself. That's your nature. When we put you in different circumstances with different people, That's the energy, the influence of the energy that comes off you is the same. It has a effect of encouraging the learning of lessons, transparency, healing, growth, and change. That's the effect that your energy has on anyone and anything you are in contact with. Okay? So, Spirit wants you to understand that, like, you may have had failed relationships, failed friendships, that kind of thing. See the word I'm using, failed. You'll feel like it's a fail. In actual fact, what's happening is that spirit, the divine God, universe, your ancestors even, your guides, they put you in places where you will attract people who are resistant, mostly people who are, pardon me, I need a drink of water already. They will bring people to you who need healing, basically. And you don't have to do anything but be yourself, because your motivations come from that deep, innate stuff that I was talking about before. They'll bring people to you who are resistant to change, who are unhealed, who have not addressed their childhood traumas, that who have not embraced their inner child, who they don't like change, and they're very fixed in their ways, and they don't like any real change. So when I say change, Spirit wants me to specify a bit more. Some people, their lives look like they embrace change because they will make impulsive decisions sometimes, and they might be big, bold moves. But in actual fact, they don't like change within themselves. Other people might be a little bit less resistant to change within themselves on micro levels. They certainly don't like change happening in their lives, like having to change a job or anything, having to make real big decisions. It irks them. They just they don't like it. Others on the outside, it looks like they will make big decisions and stuff, but it's often the decisions that they're making are often based on how they feel at any given moment, what they're trying to run away from. But in terms of change within themselves, they are completely resistant to that, no matter what they say. So the reason why those people are being sent, they are attracted to you like a magnet. They sense your light. They are attracted to it and repelled by it at the same time. So they can love you and hate you at the same time. They can be acting like they are promoting who you are and celebrating, might be a better word, celebrating who you are, and at the same time be resentful of you. Polarizing, even within the same person. The longer you interact with these individuals or groups, the more time they spend in your energetic field, the more your energy will be imparted upon them. And I don't mean in a dominant way, but it's a clarifying force. And that can be very confronting for people that are like what I just described. You may have in the past come into people's lives and they the people who they're surrounded by tend to take a disliking to you, or they keep their distance, or they lose those friends or business partners, or start to have trouble with their family members, that kind of thing. What's happening is that you are not doing anything but being your loving self. Your energy is such that it creates shifts and changes, invisible ones. It's subtle energetic changes within the people who spend an amount of time in your energy field, whereby they start waking up to who the people are that they're surrounded by. And what can happen is they start becoming a mismatch for those people. They start seeing, oh, this person's been lying to me for 20 years, or this person's not supporting me when I need support because this other person's done the wrong thing by me, and or whatever it is, whatever the circumstances are. Your energy creates shifts, positive shifts, brings clarification. And a visual that Spirit gave me actually is, say you're entering into something with someone, and it may be a personal relationship, an intimate relationship, it may be a friend, it may be a business partner of sorts, whatever it is. Imagine that person standing in the middle of this room, and the room's quite dark, okay? And you come into that room and you bring your light, you bring your clarifying energy. Imagine a bunch of snakes around the feet of that person, taking up space in the room. Let's imagine those snakes don't like light. They prefer to live in the dark. They operate best when unseen, which means they don't like transparency or clarity. They play within the obscure. They use confusion. To manipulate and get their way, to siphon whatever it is that they feel they need from people, okay? And you come into the room and your light repels them. Over a space of time, or if not very quickly, they slither away to find a dark corner. Often abandoning the person who's choosing to have you in their life. Whether, again, it could be business, it could be friends, it could be family, it could be whatever, personal relationship. The point of this is, you know that saying, like attracts like? Well, that doesn't work for you. That rule or that explanation of a dynamic doesn't actually apply to you. Not very often. It's very rare that that applies to you. Okay? You instead attract those who need healing, change, growth, who don't have the bravery or the know-how or the whatever to actually do their shadow work, to look into the dark corners, the dark recesses of their mind and their heart, to see where they are behaving in a way or moving in a way within their lives that is a reaction to their unhealed trauma. They, however, the saying like attracts like applies to them because they're operating from that unhealed space. They have attracted people around them, whether it's business partners, friends, colleagues, whatever. They have attracted people who reflect where they're at along their spiritual journey. So they're likely to attract false friends. They're likely to attract people who are better at taking than giving. They're likely to attract, what do they call them? Fair weather friends. So people who want to be around them when times are good, or because that person has certain level of skills that is very beneficial for them. They have something to gain by being attached to this person, and so they act like friends. And so in turn, this person acts like friends to them. They can only handle things on really a superficial level, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. They can only, they just need everything to look nice and look right. And so long as the people they have in their lives always make things look nice and look right, for want of much better words, they can stay. They make them feel needed, or they boost their ego because, you're amazing, look what you've done for me, whatever, that kind of thing, but they're not sincere. They're just using them. When you come into the picture, the essence of you is clarity, honesty, integrity, growth, change, yeah? Shifting towards lighter and healthier, yeah? You repel that. You repel people who operate on that level. They may act like they like you and embrace you, and they're being false. Or they may simply keep their distance and say nice things about you, but they can't be around you. Does it make sense? So what you'll get from not only those people, but from the person that you are interacting with, when push comes to shove, you'll see resistance. There's resistance to taking in your energy. Initially, they may be all about taking in your energy and all about accepting you into their lives. Yeah, that's the good part. The parts of you that they can't handle, the parts of your energy that they can't handle, that threatens them, that challenges them to grow and to heal, that part they will resent you for. Okay? So you could have a very, very varied experience of ups and downs and all arounds with this person over time, the longer you're in their presence. Because you're going to get different, you're going to see different sides of them. They're going to have different, they're going to have different reactions at different times to the different sides of you. But the general push from your general energy, without you doing anything, is to clarify, simplify, encourage healing and growth and change. And if they're stuck with, with their unhealed traumas, and they're moving in their lives from that space of unhealed pain, they are not going to take it. They'll either need to step away, or they'll become aggressive towards you when you're just trying to help them, and you may not even be trying to help them in any big way. They will say things to you like, I just need you to hear me but not say anything, because you're a solution finder. Whenever you find yourself in a pickle or a challenging situation, not only will you take accountability, be willing to take accountability for whatever role you play in it, but you will look for solution, whether it usually involves increased communication and in seeking clarity and understanding, reaching understanding or compromise or whatever the right words are. And so when someone comes to you with their problems, they're expressing their problems, or something's happened in their lives that they're feeling emotional about or angry or whatever, you will listen. You're a very good listener, and then you'll give a, hang on. So you will listen, and then you will look to support that person by increasing their understanding of who they are and why they have a problem with this interaction they're having with someone else, with this situation. Then you will offer potential solutions, or if you're unable to do that, you will give them different angles, offer different perspectives. You will raise questions. What that then does is it puts that person in a position to take responsibility for what's going on, rather than just sitting in the emotion that they're getting from the circumstances they're experiencing. So if they just want to sit and be angry at this other person or this situation, but they've got you in their lives and you start doing everything I just described, they then have to take responsibility for their part in whatever they're not happy with. And those questions that you raise, while they may not be in any way a direct poke at them, you might be offering a different perspective in terms of, is it possible that this other person is thinking this way or feeling this way, and that's what made them say what they said or do what they did? And so, yeah, it puts them up in their heads and they feel threatened by all of that. They don't want to take accountability. They don't want to take a responsibility for it. They just want to hate that other person for now, or hate the situation they're in, or whatever it is. And so they may actually ask you, can you just listen and not actually give me your advice, or not that you're giving advice, but they don't want you to respond to it. They just want you to listen because they don't actually want to change it. Okay? So spirits, I think that's as clear as I can make it at this point. They just want you to understand who you are, the essence and influence of your energy, without you doing anything. That's what you carry. That's why some people like you, some people hate you, and sometimes the same person can love you and hate you at the same time. Can celebrate you and resent you at the same time, or celebrate you and be jealous at the same time, because of the design, by the divine, your energy and the influence it carries. Okay? Now, we're talking about like attracts like before. And I said that very rarely that applies to you. So sometimes you will attract someone into your life who will be a bit of a wrecking ball for you in your life, in that they will possess certain skills and or abilities, or it's just the essence of their energy that encourages shifts and changes within you and in your life, that brings clarity into your life. And so Spirit's saying, if you want to, moving forward, or you may have learned this already, if you want to get the best out of this situation, embrace that. You don't have to do everything that you feel pushed to do, or in any ways, but especially if they're being aggressive in any way or disrespectful, or you know where to use your discernment. But certain people may come into your lives, and these people may not be healed people. And let's be real, none of us are still walking, with our feet on this planet. If we're embodied in these flesh suits, none of us are fully healed. Okay? We're all on this journey together. So it's not about us and them. But you may attract people who can do stuff for you. You will be very resistant to take that on, because it's scary, or it makes you look at a certain aspect of your life or within yourself that you haven't been willing to face or haven't been able to face. They may have that effect on you, and Spirit's saying embrace it, but still use your discernment in terms of how deep you get into it with this person. So they can have a very positive impact on your life in certain ways, and on you in certain ways, in terms of perhaps there's a dark area within you or within your perspective about life, I can't have that because I'm not that kind of person, but I really would like that. Why aren't I worthy to have that? Because you're associating a kind of person that gets that, and you're disassociating, distinguishing between you and that type of person who gets what you want. So if you just eliminate the definition of what kind of person attracts that object or thing or thing that you want, then you say that's actually available to anyone who wants it. There's not a particular type of person that you are not that gets that. You can get that too. That person might point out things like that. Yeah, and that might make you feel uncomfortable, a little bit challenged, but because of the nature of who you are, you would be quick to change and take things on board and whatever else. But know that if they are not healed, if they are still harbouring great pain, if they have not done any shadow work of enough significance to actually put them in a position where they're able to operate within their lives from a heart space rather than from trauma and pain, then the deeper into it you get with this person or these people, you're going to feel the side effects or the direct effects, the consequences of being around that kind of energy. You'll see a very generous, their external energy may be very generous towards you initially, and then as you get deeper in, you see the sharp edges, put it that way. Or they're showing me rock, stone, fossilized trauma, yeah, that you'll come up against. And so then Spirit's saying you have now the capability, your level of discernment, your ability to not only see the red flags but accept them as reality is much stronger these days. And so you'll know how close to get to people and when to keep your distance or that kind of thing. But the main point of this part of what I'm saying is if someone's trying to help you, to let them in. Okay? Otherwise, you're being just as resistant as the other person that I was talking about earlier. Resistant to change. Change can be uncomfortable. The death card represents change. Okay, so psychologically we associate change with death, because if you have a change in your life or within you, something has to die, as in some older version of you or some old version of thinking or some old version of perception or some old behaviour patterns have to stop for this change to occur. So we associate change, even positive change, with death, because deeply within us we know that for something to change, some behaviour, thing, feeling, perception has to stop or change, be tweaked, and that feels like a death of something, and therefore fear is associated with death for most people. Not for me. Okay? Hope that all makes sense. I'm just going to do a quick spread. So just know that when you come into a room, if you feel the energy, like I'll say I'm using room as a metaphor. If you come into someone's life or into a workplace and whatever else, and you feel like your energy is repelling in some way, or people aren't as embracing of you as you would be to them, or those who do come forward, usually I say when they smile, they're being super nice to you. When they smile, count the teeth, because that's how many knives you'll have in your back. And I know that can be seen as a very pessimistic thing, but really in the reality of life, those who feel the most threatened by you at times can be the ones who are the most embracing of you initially, because they want to come closer and see what it is that you are all about, how threatened they should feel, actually. Yeah? So that can be you entering a new workplace, or a relationship, or, whatever the situation is, and the people surrounding the people you're interacting with are the people that I'm talking about. So in the workplace, for example, thank you, Spirit, your relationship is with your employer, with the company, with the business, yeah? But the people who are in that business, that work in that company, your colleagues, are the people attached to the thing that you have a relationship with. Does that make sense? The same as if you you make a new friend, all right? Your relationship is with said friend, but the people that I've just described are the people around that friend. Same with someone in an intimate relationship, yeah? Or if it's a family member, the people that they're surrounded by. Okay? And you can have varying degrees of, and very varying degrees of types of experiences with that said person or environment, just by being you. And it doesn't always look favourable, and you may walk away thinking, what the heck was that all about? Why did I have to experience that? Usually the main lessons for you is discernment and boundaries, to know when to stop. And I've said this a lot in my other videos, to know how far to go in or how deep to go in, or for how long, and to know when to back off or just stop where you are. All right? In terms of which behaviours you'll accept from people and which you won't. You'll no longer accept disrespect and falsehood. Yeah? So discernment and boundaries is your lesson, usually. That's the main lessons for you. They get a whole barrage of opportunities, let's put it, opportunities for growth and healing and learning. It's up to them whether they make use of those opportunities that your energy is providing, that the circumstances that occur because of your presence of your energy are providing. It's their choice whether they go towards the light and be brave and bold and step towards, even if it's baby steps, step towards improving their way of thinking, their perception, their behaviours, who they surround themselves with, whatever it is. That's up to them to choose to go the route of the divine, to step towards the version of their higher self, to become, each step brings them closer and closer to a better version of themselves, which is leading to uniting with the highest version of themselves, becoming that. Other people, they'll get frustrated with you, angry, blame you, whatever it is, because they won't want to take accountability for anything. They don't want responsibility. They don't want accountability. They feel very uncomfortable, like a snake under a rock, is what Spirit's saying. They don't like the weight of the responsibility of creating positive change, so they'll go towards the darkness. They'll go towards their old ways. They'll stick with their old ways and actually return to old ways of behaving, or old patterns of behaviour that they were doing before they even met you. And you'll be going, what is going on? What am I supposed to learn from this? How have I contributed to this? All you're doing is being yourself. This is the effect, and then that choice is theirs. This is why Spirit wanted me to do this video today, to help you all understand who and what you are and the effect you have. Okay? But they're just reminding me again, do allow people to help you as well. There needs to be balance in the way that the energy flows. Okay? And put your boundaries based on your discernment, put your boundaries in place wherever and whenever you need them. And they can always be shifted, taken away, removed, replaced, whatever, based on what's going on. And this leads me to what the other thing Spirit wanted me to say, and I have said this in other videos as well, and that is that you're learning. If you haven't already learned, you're in the process of learning, or you're about to learn, but most people I'm talking to have learnt not to relate to people for the light that you can see in them. There's been this pattern in the past of you meet someone, you make a new friend or work colleagues or whatever, someone comes before you in your life, and you can see their highest potential. You can see the light within them. You can see that you're relating to them as if they were already their highest self. So you're dealing with, you're relating to them, to the highest version, the healed version of them, but who they are standing before you, which we'll quickly discover, is not that. And so what's happened in the past is that they've been swinging their arms around and kicking at you, abusive, aggressive, whatever, or just downright deceitful, or behaving unfairly and disrespectfully whenever it suits them, otherwise quite nice. That's the nature of the game, right? So, and you have ignored all of those red flags, you've ignored all those behaviours, or you've been very quick to forgive, or you've been very quick to take responsibility, accountability yourself. You're right, I shouldn't have asked you that question. I can see how that would make you uncomfortable. But it doesn't excuse their bad behaviour towards you, their disrespectful behaviour. You're not treating them with disrespect. Just an example. And so we stay in these friendships, in these workplaces, in these marriages, in these interactions with family members or whatever, where we're copying abuse. We're giving nothing but love, but our energy is too confronting for them. We're relating to their highest self and ignoring their bad behaviour. You now understand that you need to read their bad behaviour and accept that that's who they choose to be right now. That's who you're dealing with, because you're not dealing with the light within them. You're not dealing with their higher self. You're dealing with an unhealed version of them. On this plane, on this earth, you're dealing with someone who is abusing you or deceiving you or whatever it is, whatever the behaviours are. And so that's what you have to allow those behaviours, even if they're inconsistent, it doesn't matter, you'll see patterns over time and shifts, and even the most subtle energetic shifts within them, you'll see the patterns over time. That's what you have to base your discernment on. It's not healthy for me, or it's not in my best interest, or it's going to cause me continued confusion and pain if I spend the amount of time I've been spending with this person or this environment or group, because I get treated like this. These are the behaviours that are coming off these people towards me. And so I have to put some boundaries in place in deciding if I continue to interact with this person in a group or place. If I do, for how long, in what ways, all that kind of stuff, or how often, if at all. I'll do this, but I won't be there for that, if that makes sense. That's just another one example as well. All right, let's get on with the cards. Tell me, yeah, okay. All right, sorry, I was just talking to Spirit then. All right, so we're going to do this. Thank you. So we've got the Empress, we've got the Lovers, and we've got the Emperor. Goodness me, this exact, pardon me, little spread turned up quite a few maybe videos ago. And let me just move these over here. And then under the deck, you've got the moon. I'm pretty sure my last video that was the moon as well. Who are you actually? The Tower, interesting. So the Tower wanted to pop out. So that is all about change. That's about change happening, like involuntary change happening. Change that no one can stop. Whether it's the way you relate to certain people or actual structures in your life changing, your workplace changing, or your living arrangements changing, or suddenly you see behaviour in someone that you've held on a pedestal for a long time, you see them a certain way, and then they exhibit behaviour that takes the wool from your eyes, and you're able to deal with the reality of who they actually are and how they're behaving and why. Or even if you don't understand the why, yeah. So it's kind of the opposite of the change that occurs with the Death card. The Death card is about change that you bring about. The Tower is about change that happens to you or your life or your perception of someone. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. We've got the Star, the High Priest, and again the Lovers. Goodness me. At the bottom of the deck we have the Druid. Okay, so we're dealing with the conscious and the unconscious. Spirit wants me to address this on a broad plane right now, to start with at least. And so here we have the Empress is the collection of all the queens. There's 4 queens in the deck. I only use the Major Arcana, but the rest of the decks have the 4 queens in them, and the Empress sits above them. Okay, she's the ultimate divine feminine. The Emperor is the same with the kings. He sits above the kings. He is the expression of the divine masculine. So we have feminine and masculine. And here we have, isn't that funny that the Empress is on the side of where the woman is in the Lover's card, and the Emperor is on the side of where the man is in the Lover's card. And so here we have union. But the Lover's card originally was, I think it was originally called the Choice, because it represented it can represent a current relationship, but it the way that I've always been made to read the cards is it doesn't necessarily represent a union that's coming, and especially where it's sitting within this spread here, it's a union that's currently there. Even if you're in no contact with this person, or it's a long-term relationship you're in, or whatever it is, or just starting to get to know this person, you might be 6 months into a relationship. But what this is on a across the plane, from a higher view, is it's masculine and feminine being united. So it can represent the masculine and feminine within you. It is about balance, balancing your masculine and feminine energies. So how nurturing you are, how much you forge forward to create structures, how receptive you are, and how much you forge forward. How much you let things come to you, and how much you make things happen yourself. That balance. So that could be a dynamic that's playing out in your life, or that has been playing out within you. at the bottom of the deck, we've got the moon. And the moon is, for me, the card of emotional bookkeeping is what I call it. So someone who is not currently happy, there's stuff going on, there's emotional overwhelm, and they're looking for clarity. And most people would see that and think, well, this is a negative experience. This is not a good experience. It doesn't feel like a good experience, no. It is challenging. It's a challenge. But actually, this is the version of ourselves when we're being knocked back, we're being knocked over by life, by things that have happened, and we've kind of fallen flat on our bums, right? So this is us at base level, without the frills and whistles, without everything having to go right in our lives all the time. This is us accepting disappointment, okay? So some people confuse that with, oh, I'm depressed, I'm deflated, I'm unmotivated, I'm this, I'm that. Sure, you can put those words on it. But actually the position that you're in with this is you're in a position to, and there is no better position, to be able to get up and move forward. Having learnt what you've learnt from the experiences that you just had that knocked you down. So while you're down on your butt, it is an opportunity for you to reassess, to reflect on what's happened, to get clarity around how you feel and why, to, as I said earlier, take accountability within yourself of what role you might have played in whatever happened. And that forges a stronger version of you. From there, you've got clarity, you've learned a lesson, you have more knowledge, more wisdom. Even if the circumstances are such that there's a lot of unanswered questions, that doesn't matter. It's what's going on within you internally. And so from there, it's like a new version of you is the one that's getting up. The person who has been through that experience and learned from it is the one who's getting up, who's choosing to get up and move forward with their lives, okay? What I'm seeing here, what Spirit's saying to me is that in terms of the balancing of the masculine and feminine within your life, within yourself, is that in the past, you may have been quite receptive, and there's no good or bad, right? It's all about balance within these things as well. Quite passive, quite receptive. You allowed things to come to you. You didn't go out and make it happen for yourself. And so you may have missed certain opportunities in being that way if this was out of balance, too much towards the feminine. And where you're headed is more towards the masculine. And so you're still that beautiful, feminine, receptive energy, but you are being encouraged to balance out the masculine with the feminine. So that stops you from missing opportunities. It stops you from... what are you trying to tell me, Spirit? It stops you from not being able to sometimes see the woods for the trees and make the best of a situation. It gets you up onto your feet if there's masculine balancing that out within you. Yeah. So there's a balancing act going on, and you're working out when to step forward and when to not step forward, when to act and when to rest, when to receive and when to forge forward. Yeah? That balance within yourself. If it is in terms of a relationship, because this is representing the current position, it's quite possible that you're bringing a lot of beautiful things to the relationship, and you have a very grounding energy, and you bring passion as well. The person you're dealing with is also very passionate, but not happy. It can represent that you are overlooking certain things about this person, perhaps not seeing how unhappy they are, or behaviours that they, why they do what they do, and all that kind of stuff. You're just loving them, you're just there to love them, and so you're not looking into why they behave the way they do sometimes, that then makes them unhappy or makes them appear to be unhappy. In actual fact, they gain a lot. They don't bring a lot in terms of, and I'm not talking about superficial things like money and stuff like that. I'm talking about the actual dynamic of their internal intent towards you, and what they bring in terms of being able to be honest, noble, transparent, loving, affectionate, reciprocal energy. Like, are they able to match your thing? They don't bring a lot other than passion. For the most part, they're feeling sorry for themselves. Or it can be that they want things to improve, but they don't bring much to the table to bring that improvement around. But they're gaining a lot from your presence. See the beautiful flowers in her hair and the flowers behind him. They're gaining a lot from the situation just by being around you, because you are loving. Sometimes you can have a tendency to overlook things that may need your attention. And if we're talking about balance, as I said before I even put the cards out there, what I was describing is you use your discernment as to what you'll do and when, with who, for how long, and all that kind of stuff. How far you'll step in, how far when you need to stop, when you need to step back, when you need to put boundaries in place in terms of the level or degree or consistency or repetitive consistency. Pardon me, confirmation burp. The frequency of and everything, the what, who's and hows and whens and all that kind of stuff. You use your discernment because you are not no longer ignoring the signs and symbols, the red flags and the green flags that are coming off the people that you're dealing with. You actually need to use your discernment to work out how much of your energy, where, when and with whom you're actually doing, and what things need to be addressed. Okay, and that requires you to be quite balanced within yourself. You can't be all about this nurturing love all the time. The Emperor gives consequences for bad behaviour or bad performance. Okay, so the Empress could be really quite forgiving. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a bad thing, but they need to be balanced, yeah? So if we're too much one way, or too much of one kind of action is taken in terms of our actions towards people around us in the way we deal with them, then we're missing out on the other side of the story, because it could be this person really wants to be with you, but doesn't really put a lot of, besides their passion, which could be lust, right? Or the passion could be the depth of their desire to be with you. But other than that, because they're quite immature, they don't bring a lot of other qualities within the energetic exchange. It could be that when you both face challenges with each other, they always lose hope. or they always are the ones that fall into a hole that you need to get them out of in order for them to see the way forward with you, if that makes sense. You're the solution finder. You're the one that loves even when you're getting punched. And I don't mean that literally, I mean energetically, like when you're dealing with their abuse or their lack of ability to see the light for themselves. You're the one that brings it. You'll put energy in, you'll put your share of energy in and their share of energy in. Simply you're basing it on the fact that you can see that they really want to be with you. But what are they doing to stay with you? What are they doing to make things better? Yeah? Is it you always finding the solution, always bringing the energy, always bringing the beauty into the situation? They benefit from all that. And then what are they doing with it? Do they, pardon my French, piss it up against the wall? Make a mess of things? Waste opportunities for growth? Knowing that you'll just stay there and keep loving them? So we're talking about balance here. The Emperor, not to say that the Empress isn't discerning, but the Emperor certainly is. He puts up with no garbage, nothing that's substandard, okay? So you can raise your expectations of what it is that you expect the other person to do, what you want them to hold themselves accountable for, what you want them to take responsibility for, how you want them to grow and change. Okay? Because you have to look at the fact that you have not been happy. The subconscious, we're coming from a place of the Druid, and so while you're been processing your emotions, you're actually gathering more skills, more clarity, your connection to the divine is much stronger, and you've been having, through that clarity and connection to the divine, you have increased, I should say, you have had epiphanies about yourself, moments of clarity around what's going on around you. You can see more clearly now the tools that you have at your disposal and resources you have at your disposal. And this represents resources being at your disposal before you act on something. But they're saying now it's time to get into action. Okay, that's another level to it. Or rather, you will take action on it. And so there's been this rediscovery of self through this pain. There's been rediscovery of pain and confusion, lack of clarity. You, by doing the work on yourself, have come to a place of real clarity. And you are accepting of yourself, you're accepting of the circumstances around you, you are accepting of the divine light and love that comes down, that higher frequency that's always ever expanding and growing, and you know, if we take that on, we are ever expanding and growing. Yeah, and so you're in a position where, and see, there's Spirit, the bird, as well, messaging you, bringing messages to you, insights to you, and the tools that you have at your disposal to move forward. And so there was a time where you felt very clear, but you may have felt quite alone. Right? This could be prior to this relationship, and if you're not currently in a relationship, perhaps I'm describing a situation that was, okay? But it's like, you know, the lone star, and I don't normally say this about this card, but the feeling that Spirit's giving me is sending out a signal, sending out a smoke signal to the universe as to what you kind of want, but feeling quite alone. But within that, they're just giving me the word divinity. The divinity within you, the purity, what I was describing at the beginning of the reading in terms of your intent and the purity, the innocence of you. I'm not saying you're perfect, nobody is, but there is your essence. It's just divine, right? But we can't leave you like that, Spirit says. We have to continue to grow. We have to continue to move forward and take the next steps. This is not all we have for you in this life. There's more for you to experience. Then we have the high priest. And so this is thank you, Spirit. The gathering of knowledge. This is a very wise person. So there's a difference between being knowledgeable and being wise. Yeah? Because you can have great knowledge. You can study, go to uni, go wherever you want to study, go up on the mountaintop and sit with the monks, whatever you experience, you can gain much knowledge. But do you use it wisely? How do you apply that knowledge? And so that's why just before I had my moment where I could see your newfound knowledge coming from the tree that is life, the tree that is your life, the tree of life, you could say. But this tree represents your growing into your life, your ever expanding energy. Each branch, each leaf, every spring, the tree puts out new leaves and gets that little bit bigger and wider and taller. Yeah, he's able to receive more of the light coming from the sun, able to withstand the winds. Yeah, interesting. And so I can't help but see that what a Spirit's highlighting to me is I want to call them sunflowers. They may not be, but they're very bright yellow flower, and he's wearing basically gold. And so you are in the process of stepping into better times for yourself. But the Emperor is about, in terms of these two cards together, the application of what you've learnt. Okay, so you've gained knowledge and wisdom, and now it's time to apply it moving forward. Yeah. So having the benefit of the lessons that you've learned through the experiences you've just had, and then saying, well, I'm not going to subject myself to that kind of experience again because that was horrible, or that was very painful, or very confronting and very challenging, and da-da-da. Have I learnt all the lessons yet? And the way that they'll get tested is moving forward in your life. You'll have people or situations that will test to see how strong your resolve is, to show you how much you've actually changed, to show you that you handle things differently these days, and you respond differently to challenges or challenging people or situations these days than what you would have in the past. The application of your knowledge, and the gold colours represent you shining from your midsection. You actually, it's like your strength and your light that's within you, that's always been there. It's expanding though from the gut out into the world. Like people, whether they don't know why they're looking at you in the supermarket, but there's just something different about your energy. Does it make sense? People will find themselves looking at you. You'll walk into a room or be just passing, whatever, or walking down an aisle or whatever, and people, man, woman, child, will look at you because something within them that they're not conscious of picks up on your light. Your frequency has increased, and your energy is expanding, and it's being seen more out in the world. And that's what this is. You can be in hiding or never feel the need to, I'm fine just where I am. Never feel the need to actually get up and put things into action or go out into the world. And when we do choose to get up, we don't expect perfection, because we're not perfect, and the world's certainly not perfect, but everything's perfect in its equilibrium from God's view, from the divine's view. Okay, so but we work with it, and then we take our wisdom and what we've learnt from our lessons into the world and apply our new found clarity, strength, conviction, all that kind of stuff. Now, so then coming across here with the lovers. So again, this is about union or making a choice around your union with an individual. It could be more than one, but this choice is coming up for you in obvious ways and in less obvious ways. This choice is coming up for you in terms of what you're aware of and what you're not aware of. I know that sounds vague, but right now, Spirit's given me very succinct words to say. Why are you saying that to me? Okay, so Spirit's getting me to look at this flower here, which I think is some kind of lily. And it's saying there is a rebirth happening within you in a not so obvious way. So there's the obvious stuff, and then there's a not so obvious way that there's a rebirth, and it's to do with your feminine energy, but your passion around okay. So when sometimes we can say, yep, it's time to get up, it's time to move and take action and use my newfound skills and abilities and stuff. We can be quite too far the masculine way. And they're saying you can still be your beautiful feminine energy, and you can still act on things and engage with others. It's another level. Okay, thanks, Spirit. And in a more playful way, though, than what. See how he's quite stern, and he's not going to get messed around, and his tolerance level's quite low for people's BS, all that kind of stuff. Do as I say, all that kind of. They're very serious, and she's very playful. So she's interacting with the masculine in a very playful way. So sometimes action doesn't have to mean absolute, brutal force or aggression, or I have to really forge forward with myself. It's not about that. You can still, remember, this is about union and balance. So as you forge forward and act, you still have the beautiful qualities of the divine feminine within you. It's a divine feminine who is taking action and balancing out his or her masculine and female energy. Okay, and so they're saying here that you can still really enjoy on a deeper level within yourself, enjoy your beautiful feminine qualities, even if you're a man. And engage with others in a playful and passionate way. Is that all you want me to say on that at the moment? Yeah, okay. So what was it before when I went, okay, so this is about, so here you've been knocked down on your butt and you're feeling overwhelmed with emotions. This here is, so you quite understandable to say I've taken time to myself and I'm just taking stock of what I have around me before I give birth to a new project or before I move forward or go back out into the world. And this is about us choosing to go and engage with people again, to put ourselves out there a little bit. So we're not so, the hermit's not here, but it's that kind of energy we're picking up here, right? You say the hermit's in between. You go through the emotional pain, you go through hermit, where you take time out to yourself to lick your wounds and look for clarity within yourself, look for new perspective. And then once you're past the emotional weight, you've released all the emotional weight and hurt, you come into this space of potentially, but this is what I'm describing for you, of the Empress, in that, okay, you've healed, you've licked your wounds, you've processed everything. Now you're looking to say, okay, what do I want to do stepping forward? And so there's this re-engagement with the world and action that you're taking after having gotten up, which is exactly what I described before with getting knocked down on your butt. It's an opportunity for you to reassess and then get up. And so that's what's happening on a deeper level. Straight away, you are even while you've been in emotional pain, you've been able to see what you bring to the table. You've been able to see the beautiful gifts that you bring and the beautiful gift that you are. So it suggests you may have been in situations where you felt like you were taken for granted or used and abused or whatever. I say that often in the readings. There's a lot of people who have been of service to the divine, of service to humanity, often feel used and abused because people take the parts or the things, they'll take our gifts, what we gift to them in terms of whether it's knowledge or wisdom or just generosity or help in some way, shape or form. And then they'll reject the parts that that challenge them to do better, put it that way. So there's been great transformation is what I'm seeing here. Great transformation during what would be a very overwhelming period for you. And then you come into being the lone star, letting things come to you instead of so people may have seen that you went quiet, certainly during this period, but people might say, well, they don't reach out as much or they're less sociable these days, but they seem to be doing okay because you've healed, you're healing yourself, you're taking time out to yourself. Here, there's this beautiful connection with the divine and all the beauty that comes with that. It's a natural step from the Druid here. But this sense of feeling like a lone star. And so then that makes you start engaging with the world again, having learnt your lessons and gathered more knowledge and wisdom. And then they're saying to keep it balanced, when you take action in your life, out in the world, that you don't forget this, don't forget who you are, don't forget what you've learned, and keep your energies balanced, okay? And then, so that's on the outer. On the inner, over time there'll be this deeper shift within you that allows you to engage playfully on a more intimate, more serious, here I'm saying engage playfully, and then I'm using the word serious, on a deeper level with people. Not a serious level, but it is serious, but on a deeper level with the world or with people. A re-engagement with others. Yeah, there's quite an interesting journey. So this has been a general reading, and I do personal readings. So if you want to have a look at what more closely, more personal to you directly, the dynamics going on in your life and the way to move forward, the way you're being encouraged to move forward by the universe. Pardon me, more water. In the description box is my email address. Feel free to reach out and we can arrange a reading for you. I'm going to leave it there because my throat chakra is closing. So that's the end of this one. Thank you very much. Thank you, Spirit. And thank you for watching. Many blessings to you.